I want to address this. So, as I say, we got over 4,000 comments on our full episode, the special that we posted. I think it was on Sunday. And a lot of the comments were addressing or supporting, quite frankly, our sympathetic stance. Others were saying, no, we're in Vince's corner. And, she's obviously making it all up, of course. There's, she's
they were saying that you and I.
No. Saying that this Janelle Grant was making it all up, or Vince McMahon was making it. Everyone's picking a side. Ultimately, I think I'll speak for you, or you tell me otherwise. We're inclined to believe Janelle Grant's lawsuit because one, it's incredibly detailed and specific, and it's got the text messages and everything. And Vince McMahon has a very long history of NDAs
where there's
and
smoke,
this kind of
there's
thing.
fire, right?
One of those kinds of things. But let's say, put everyone's personal beliefs aside, and let's say that Janelle's lawsuit is entirely fabricated, or nearly all entirely fabricated. The situations that arose happened, but she was complicit with all of them. She was up for everything, and she knew what she was getting into. So let's say she's essentially, and I'll use some other people's words for this, let's say Janelle is a paid prostitute who willingly engaged in all the acts described in the lawsuit, which we don't think that's true, but some people have suggested that. Here's the problem. Vince McMahon still gave her a fake title, put her on the payroll that the company paid her. She was paid through the company. She was pimped out to other members of staff on company time, and she was used as a bargaining chip to re-sign Brock Lesnar, allegedly, whether it was in jest or whether it was serious. There is a text message showing that. And then this is a publicly traded company, and Vince clearly misappropriated funds of a publicly traded company for his own personal pleasure on public company time. Therefore, he must have needed to be ousted either way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's my point. What do you think?
Well, I don't have a response to that. I'm agreeing with it. See, I said something, I think last week on the special. I said, why didn't she just quit? Well,
it's not a stupid question. It really isn't a stupid question.
Because that's the first thing the defense is going to ask.
Yeah.
If it does go to trial, why didn't you just quit if you hated it? Why did you allow yourself to be mistreated like this? And that's what a lot of people on the jury will be thinking. They don't know her. They know Vince or know of him. And they think this, because Vince has got a lot of money, she's just suing to get money. My main question is, I don't know. Well, you may have answered it. Why didn't he just pay her the money? And
because a contract only means a contract in, when it's in favor.
I understand. I understand that. But if she knew that she was going to sue, which I think he did, of course, that's me thinking, but go ahead and pay the other money. You agreed to do it initially, so go ahead and do it and shut her up. Which would, but it was still the NDA. She could still break that after he paid her. This is Vince. I never thought he was a stupid man, but I got to say now, I think he's a stupid man because of the things that he did. Things like he was like a 16-year-old boy. Hey, this is my girlfriend, and look at her here and look at her there. He's a grown man, a billionaire. So, it just goes to show you, you don't know people. You may think you know people, but you don't know people.
Yeah, it's like a 16-year-old who's he's bragging to all his friends that he's fingered a girl. I mean, it's sort of like that level. Let me just say, when you said in the special, and you said it a couple of times, and people were picking up saying, how dare you, da-da-da. But the fact is that you're right. It's not unfair to ask, well, why didn't she leave Vince? Similarly, the lawsuit goes in great detail, and I didn't really mention it too much in the special. I just basically said, either read the lawsuit yourself or take my word for it, because I've read through it twice at least, probably 3 times now, that grooming behaviour, textbook grooming behaviour, was happening over the course of weeks and months, and it's as textbook as it gets in that sense. So that's why I am inclined to believe Janelle Grant's version of events. But having said that, there is nothing wrong, especially with a lawsuit, and there's no video or photo for some healthy skepticism. We're not just blindly believing one person over the other. I think, and if Dutch will correct me if I'm wrong, what we're saying is that we've got a lot of reason to believe that Vince probably did a lot of these things.
Yeah. I got to say that what I read, I think, is textbook Vince. I think, because I've heard stories about him. Of course, a lot of the stories have made the press, so a lot of people outside of wrestling, they've all read these things about Vince too. Somebody asked me, "Do you think Linda will divorce Vince?"
I asked you that.
And what did I say?
Yes, you said you thought he would. No, sorry, she would divorce him.
I've changed that.
Really?
No, she's not going to divorce Vince. Because why would she divorce him? He's 78 years old. He's going to die within the next, I don't know. I think this may do a number on him, or it may invigorate him. I don't know. He's weird. But if she doesn't divorce him, they don't have to split these assets. If she waits till he dies, who gets them? And she's married to him.
Exactly.
She'll get them. She'll get it all. Then we'll wait till Linda, bites the bullet, and then she can distribute it how she wants. But I don't think she has any. She knows what he's like. She's been with him 50 years. She knows exactly what Vince McMahon is like. And this has been going on, and she knows that he's had other women for at least the late 80s, and maybe before that. She didn't do it then. So why would she do it now when he's got money? If he doesn't lose it all.
Was politics,
and she might even say that Vince will probably lose all his money just to spite me. That son of a. But I don't think we will see a.
Hey, you never know. Vince might just put all his assets into Linda's name just so he doesn't have to pay. I mean, probably not. But I
don't think he can do that now, can he? Can he do it now?
Ooh, that's one for a lawyer. I don't know. I want to ask one more mention one more thing, and I think you picked this up early as well. It's like people reading the text messages, and I didn't read the text messages out. I actually put them on the main. I put them on screen, but we didn't talk.
You
about
didn't read them?
Oh, I've read them all, but I didn't read them out loud to you. Anyway, and people were like, that can't be Vince. He's an erudite, intelligent person, but he texts like a teenage girl. But I've seen text messages from Vince years before this, and that is how he texts, like big U instead of you. So I'm like fastidious with text messages. Mine are all properly punctuated and everything. But no, this is how Vince texts. So whoever, if this was, as I say, completely fabricated by Janelle Grant and her legal team, they've done a hell of a job. I don't know how they could do that. Oh, no, because that's the other thing. People saying, well, how do we know the texts are from whatever? I doubt that her lawyer will risk disbarment by not doing her due diligence before putting these text messages as exhibits into this lawsuit.
Okay, let me ask you this. I'm not a lawyer. I doubt if we're talking to many lawyers out there, we're talking to a few, I guess. But how do they get that text message like they got it? Through the server?
I think, right, so the messages themselves, they were from Janelle's phone screenshot, but to verify them, I guess you can go through the phone company records and make requests to make, I'm sure there'll be like online records in the cloud somewhere that the phone company can access and then verify if they're true or not.
Mm-hmm.
Even better would be to get Vince's phone, and we don't even know if, when the federal government raided his
I don't know why.
condo.
I don't know why you. Wait, could he wipe his phone
with text messages? I mean, yeah, you can wipe your phone, but I mean, I think you'd have to.
But it would still be on the server, wouldn't it?
I think so. Yeah, I think there would be online.
That's
records.
On there for eternity, correct?
Possibly, yeah. I think so.
And just because you wipe the phone doesn't mean you got rid of the text.
Yeah.
You got rid of the text on your phone. You can't pull it up on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
But hit the major part of a text conversation remains on the server.
Yeah, it's in the ether somewhere that can be dragged out. I think that's probably the correct thing.
That's what made me think that. I mean, it was a long text, allegedly, from Vince, and he does the "you" like you say, because that fits him too. I don't think he would be worrying about grammar and proper, English. He would, it's like kind of like a kid. But if you see, not a lot of people would notice that. They just read it, and the content of it and the intent of it, they would read that. That's what I read. The "you," I said, well, that's just Vince. That's just the way he does it.
I'm presuming he texts you fairly often or occasionally.
Yeah. Well, I try to keep it quiet, but yeah, some of the, I gave him some advice about, when he was.
Yeah. Always pay your NDAs.
Oh yeah. And he wanted me to sign an NDA, and I didn't know what that was. So it was the 3 letters that threw me off. So I didn't know. So I didn't mess with it.
Yeah, me as well. I kept calling it NWA. I'm sorry, it's a wrestling podcast. I couldn't stop myself. Right, we're gonna move on to the next bit. I wonder.
Yeah, the people. You mentioned the people did get kind of upset with us when we called her, like she knew what she was doing, like like a prostitute. Some people got upset with us.
No, but we weren't saying that. But other people were saying that was
we
the
weren't
case.
saying it.
That's the thing. But yeah, I mean.
But they're going to ask that question. If it goes to trial, that is the main defense for Vince, because she was prostituting herself. Yeah, and that's the question I would ask.
Yeah, that is the prosecution's angle. And as I say, it's not an unfair question to ask. But as I say, with all these other NDAs and stuff like that, it makes for hard reading for Vince. And especially, even if she was, then what was Vince doing paying her, giving her a fake title?
Gave her a car,
$15,000 at Bloomingdale, gift certificate or whatever it was. I want to ask you this, Dutch. I wonder if we are going to see the return.
She made a pretty good living doing that.
Yeah. It's probably one of the reasons, she didn't want to do any of the things she did, but she made money and she got gifts. So, misplaced love, misplaced loyalty, the fact that she needed a job. I don't know. It could be any of those things. Right.
So Vince, the first time he met her, he walked in just in his underwear, right?
Oh, no. That was like several meetings afterwards. He met her first in the office, I think. And, they had friendly chats in the office and, long chats. And Vince was overly vulnerable with her and, talking about how lonely he was and a lot of personal details. And then, I don't know if it was like when to sign a contract or to have a business lunch or whatever. And then she goes to the condo and then Vince answers the door in his underwear. And then he gets her to, I think it was, I didn't write this down. I think he gets her to do the buttons up on his shirt. Just that little bit of, you've broken down like a barrier, one
Grooming.
at a time.
Grooming, you called it.
Yes.